Good night, good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good and God is good all the time. My name is Simon J. Spirit Divine. He give you a word on tonight. Um, part 2 of God promised deliverance. God said it will be done. So we left off yesterday that Moses went to Pharaoh to tell Pharaoh to let God people go. Moses was asking Pharaoh to let the people go. Um, and the more he was telling Pharaoh to let the people go, the more Pharaoh was giving them hard labor. So it's still going to come from Exodus chapter 6, 1 through 12. So remember Moses said that God had not, rescued them yet. He wanted quickly service. He thought he was going to go there that one day, and he thought everything was going to be done. So Moses now, and so God had told him, so now you will see what I will do to Pharaoh. See, God, so Moses wanted things quickly, but God prepared things, to happen. So God said, you're going to see what I'm about to do to Pharaoh. So because of my mighty hand, he will let them go. With my mighty hand, he will drive them out of his country. So God said to Moses, I am the Lord. Now he appears to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you know, but he did not make himself known, but he established a covenant with them, and with his offspring. So God said, I have heard the groaning of my people, and God said, I came down on earth to deliver them with my mighty hand. So the Israelite, who is the Egyptian, are enslaved, and God had remembered the covenant he had made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So God told Moses, tell the Israelite, I am the Lord, and he will bring them out with his mighty hand, you know, um, from under the yoke of the Egyptians, and now God will free them from slavery. Because God see that they're being oppressed, being beaten, hard labor. So he said he gonna take them from slavery. He gonna release them with his mighty hand. So he gonna face them from being a slave. Now God will redeem them with an outstretched arm, and his mighty act of judgment. God will take them as God gonna take them as his own people. God said, and I'm gonna be your God. And we know all Israel of life, God, that's gonna be God's people, his chosen people. He gonna be their God. And he ain't gonna want them to have no other God but him. And then they would know that I am the Lord, your God, who brought you out under the yoke from Egyptian, from being a slave, from being in bondage. God about to take them from out all that. Because they in bondage, they slave, they being oppressed with hard labor. God about to take them from all their worries and all their struggles, all their crying and their worry. All their crying, it went up to heaven and God heard their groaning. Now God is letting them know, he is, who would bring them out with his mighty hand. No one else cannot do it but God. So now Moses reported everything to the Israelites. Now God told all this to Moses. And now Moses, got to go there to Pharaoh and let him know I need 3 days in the wilderness with the Israelites. But they did not listen to him because of the discouragement, in a hard labor. So when you in hard labor, you in a long storm and you going through so much, you know. So when Moses and them came there the first time, they thought they was gonna be released, but Moses did not release them the same day. So when they seen Moses again, they discouraged. They don't want to hear anything. When you in that dark place, for so long, and you think someone gonna rescue and did not rescue, they don't want to listen to Moses at all. So you can be discouraged when you are suffering. You in that pain. You in that hard labor. You don't know what else to do. You don't want to hear nothing at that time. So now God told Moses to go and tell Pharaoh to let the people go out of the country. So Moses gonna be like, the Israelite don't want to listen to me. How Pharaoh gonna listen to me? So Moses said the Israelite, don't want to listen to him. So he like, how I'm gonna go to Pharaoh? Pharaoh not gonna listen to me if my own people don't want to listen to anything I have to say. So when we face, great problems, that God had opportunity to exercise his great power. So when we weak, so we discouraged, when our faith, when you're in a long storm, trust me, your faith will be wavering. You're gonna get discouraged. So as the Hebrew trouble grew steadily worse, you know, and since most of them got their trouble, their suffering, it got worse and worse. God planned to interfere with his mighty power and perform great miracles to deliver them. So God always be behind the scene working things out, putting little pieces together. That's why he had told Moses, you gonna sit back, you about to see what I'm about to do to Pharaoh. Because see, he was looking for quick service. God always preparing stuff. He don't do quick service. God don't do quick microwave stuff. He prepares stuff, and Moses don't understand. So when Moses give God a message to the people, they were too discouraged, to listen. And sometimes that's how you can be. Sometimes you can be going through so much, be in so much pain. When somebody do come on your behalf, you just don't want to listen. You just don't want to listen. But guess what? Most are going to keep on pressing, to eventually they will listen, because once you calm down, then they're going to realize, okay, God, I think God sent Moses. We're going to give Moses a chance. But you have to calm down, and then you're going to realize God sent some help for you. You know, cry to God. You can pray to God. We don't know how God going to do it, but God always sends someone to save us. He always sends someone in his behalf to save us. So when Moses gave God's message to the people, they were too discouraged to listen. But the Hebrews didn't want to hear any more stories about Moses, about God. They didn't want to hear nothing. God and his promise, because the last time, they listened to Moses, all they got was hard work, hard labor, hard suffering. Because remember, Moses went there the first time and tried to tell Pharaoh to let his people go. So they've been enslaved for 400 years. So when they saw Moses, they thought, okay, we about to get out of here. We about to get out of bondage. We about to get from slavery. But Moses did not save them that day. So when Moses come around a second time, they got discouraged. They didn't want to hear nothing else that Moses have to say. So you may get in your long storm like they had got. They thought they were about to be delivered, but they got a setback. You could get a setback, you can get a delay, but you will not be denied. Because if God said he gonna do it, he gonna do it. But you're gonna get delayed. You're gonna get setback. But you will not be denied. Because we all know that God gonna deliver the Israelites. They will not deny. It was only delay. So we get discouraged. We may lose faith. Sometimes your faith may waver and you're on a long storm. But we have to hold on. Hold on. I'm a witness. Hold on. Because if he made a promise, it will come to pass. So and sometimes, it may not come quickly. Sometimes it may not come quickly as we want it to. But we have to keep the faith, and we have to trust God, and we have to believe, in that discouragement. We have to believe that God will interfere and save us. God working his own divine time. That will keep, you got to keep your hope. You have to have it in your mind. You have to believe that God gonna come and save you. So for the Israelite, God is preparing to interfere on their behalf. The longer you wait on God, on our storm, it get worse and worse. But you got to keep on holding on. So when Moses had came, you know, they didn't want to hear nothing else because he came the first time. They thought they were about to be released. So it was hard for Moses to bring God's message to Pharaoh when his own people, didn't believe him and didn't want to listen. But that, Moses did not stop. Moses also had cried out to God, why are you suffering here and trouble these people? So Moses cried out to God also. He said, what you called me for? He got discouraged his own self, but God kept on pushing him to go back. So eventually the Israelite, they believed that God had sent Moses because see, even though in your discouragement, even though in your doubt, but some reason in our head, you're gonna believe that God gonna save you. You're gonna believe that God sent someone to save us. So eventually when they had calmed down, they believed that God had sent Moses. Through it all, in our mind, we will believe that God will save us. That's our hope. You got to keep that hope. You got to have hope. You got to have faith. Because without hope and without faith, you will not make it through. We understand how the Israelites feel. They've been in slavery under Pharaoh for 400 years. So when they saw Moses, they thought they were about to be free from bondage. But it only had got worse. So when Moses came the second time, they did not want to listen. But eventually they knew God had sent Moses. But in the pain and suffering, you lose courage. In a long storm, but you got to still hold on. You can't throw in a towel. You can't throw in God. You got to keep on holding on. You got to keep your hope. You got to keep your faith. You have to trust God, and you have to believe in that pain and suffering that He will save you. But we have to continue on holding on. You have to believe that God will save us no matter how long it is. We got to keep on holding on. We have to keep the faith, because if God made a promise, He will follow through. We're going to look at Exodus chapter 6, 13 through 27, the family record of Moses and Aaron. Now, you can also read that, on your own, because I'm not going to read the whole family line, So now the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron about the Israelite, and Pharaoh, the king of Egypt. He commanded them to bring the Israelite out of Egypt. So Moses still pushing. He's still following orders from God. So Amram married his father's sister. And Moses' mother. Moses' mother is the father's sister. I can't pronounce her name. So that's Aaron and Moses' mother. So it was Aaron and Moses to whom the Lord said, bring the Israel out of Egypt of their division. So Aaron had to go along with Moses because Moses, you remember I put the package out. Moses kept coming up with all kinds of excuses. He don't speak well. So God said, bring Aaron with you. So every time Moses had to go to Pharaoh and he getting nervous and stumbling on words, Aaron will step in and speak for Moses. So we're going to look at Exodus chapter 6, 28 through 30. Aaron to speak for Moses. The Lord had spoke to Moses in Egypt. He said, I am the Lord. And now tell Pharaoh everything that I said. So Moses was scared to embrace Pharaoh and said, since I speak with flattering, studied lips, why will Pharaoh listen, to me? So that's why Aaron gonna have to step in. I saw the move. That's why Aaron gonna have to step in and speak to Pharaoh. See, Aaron don't have no problem. When he see Moses stumbling and all this, getting scared and all that, Aaron always step in. And he will embrace Pharaoh and speak to Pharaoh by letting the people go. Now, since Moses saying, he don't speak well. That's why Aaron came along with him. That's why God had Aaron to come along with him. So Aaron would speak for Moses, and he would tell Pharaoh to let God people go. So God said, I am who I am. When God said, I am who I am, that means Pharaoh gonna have to let his people go. That's why God had told Moses, you're gonna see what I'm about to do to Pharaoh. So God would keep the covenant that he made to every Abraham offspring. So when they had cried out to God, God had remembered the covenant that he made with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So the law is also the forever God. The one who always was, the one who will forever be, and the one who is present with us in a way that no other being can be. No one else cannot be with you, watch over you, protect you the way God can. You might have someone say, "Oh, I got you." I'm gonna watch. I'm gonna protect you. No human being can protect us better than God can. You know, no one can protect us like God. So that's why God is our way, our source, and our only way. Here our life in future is in God's hand. No matter how someone might act like they're big and bad and I got your back and all that, God is the only one got your back. Because you can't trust no one else but God. Because anyone else will let you down. So that's the story on part 2 of God promise on deliverance. Now, they constantly gonna keep on pressing Pharaoh to let the people go. This gonna be a long journey. God gonna keep hardening Pharaoh heart. So that's why he's not gonna let the people go until God time, divine time. He will let the people go. But right now, they're gonna keep on pressing Pharaoh. Keep on pressing Pharaoh to let God people go. He gonna keep on saying, I am who I say I am. He gonna keep on, pressing Pharaoh. That's why he gonna tell Moses, you keep on watching. You gonna see what I'm about to do to Pharaoh. So Moses got scared at one time. He wanted to pull it, throw in the towel, because the Israelites turned against him. They didn't want to listen to him. So he felt like God started saying, you go to Pharaoh. He like, how am I go to Pharaoh when my own people, don't want to listen to me? But eventually he followed God's order and he did what God had told him to do and went back to Pharaoh. He got a little nervous and stuff like that. When Aaron saw him stumbling in on the word, Aaron hurried up and jumped in and started speaking to Pharaoh. That's what Aaron there for, to step in and speak for Moses. So that's all the word I have for you on today, and it's getting real good now. We still got a long journey to go for when they do be released from being in bondage, and it's still gonna have some more to go when they conquer their promised land. So stay tuned. We still doing Bible study. We learning everything. We learning all the details. We went from the beginning of God plan, and we're gonna take it all the way to the end. So y'all have a blessed and safe night, and I see y'all on the next video.